A blonde woman is tired of people assuming she's stupid and dyes her hair red. Feeling empowered, she goes for a car ride down a country road. Soon, she sees a farm with hundreds of sheep. She walks up to the owner of the farm and makes this proposal. "These sheep are adorable. If I guess how many there are, can I keep one?" The farmer agrees. Surely, out of all the sheep, this woman can't guess the number exactly. She looks around and replies, "There are 593 sheep." The farmer is stunned. The number was exactly right. So the woman picks up her sheep and is getting back in the car when the farmer runs up to her and yells, "Wait! If I can guess your natural color, can I have him back?" The woman smiles and agrees. She already proved she's too smart to be called a blonde. The farmer replies, "You're a blonde. Now can I have my dog back?" A cowboy rides up to the saloon. He stopped his horse at the hitching post and climbed off. "Good girl, Betsy, you have a rest," he said, and gave the horse's neck a good scratch. He patted its side and walked to the rear. After tidying some twigs from the tail, he lifted it up and gave the horse a huge, lingering kiss on the arsehole. 10 seconds at least, really getting in there with a powerful snog. Then he just casually strolled into the bar. "Well, goddamn, stranger, I've seen some crazy happenings in this here town," said the barman who'd witnessed the spectacle, "but I've never seen a man get as intimate with his ride in such a way before." "Don't reckon I know what you're suggesting, friend, but there isn't anything going on between me and my Betsy," he replied. "I've just got myself some chapped lips." "Whatever you say, mister," said the barman, unconvinced, "but I wouldn't think that'd cure it." "It isn't supposed to," sighed the cowboy. "Sure stops you from freaking licking 'em, though." Two older guys were sitting on their usual park bench one morning. The 87-year-old had just finished his morning jog. The 80-year-old was amazed at his friend's stamina and asked him what he did to have so much energy. The 87-year-old said, "Well, I eat rye bread every day. It keeps your energy level high, and you'll have great stamina with the ladies." So, on the way home, the 80-year-old stops at the bakery. As he was looking around, the cashier asked if he needed any help. He said, "Do you have any rye bread?" She said, "Yes, there's a whole shelf of it. Would you like some?" "I want 5 loaves," he answered. She said, "My goodness, 5 loaves? By the time you get to the 3rd loaf, it'll be hard." Shocked, he replies, "I can't believe it. Everybody knows about this junk but me." A blonde walks into a store, and after a bit of perusing, she points to the wall and tells the cashier that she'd like to buy a TV. The cashier responds, "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't sell to blondes. We even have a sign," as he points to a giant "No Blondes Are Allowed" sign on his left. "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The reluctant blonde scoffs and storms off furiously. Later that night, she can't stop thinking about what happened and tells herself that one way or another, she's going to buy that TV. The next day, she wakes up real early, throws on a red wig and sunglasses, and heads back to the store. "Good morning, sir. I'd like to purchase that beautiful TV," she says, pointing to the wall. Without even looking up from his newspaper, the cashier responds, "Now, ma'am, I already told you we don't sell to blondes. I'm sorry, but you need to leave." Stunned and speechless, the blonde storms out. Once back home, she wonders, how did he know? So the next day, she throws on a black wig, a funny-looking hat, and a monocle before heading back to the store. "Hello, mate. I'd like to buy that TV there, yeah," she tells the cashier. He puts down his coffee and responds, "Miss, I already told you, no blondes allowed. Please, be on your way, and don't make this any more difficult." She can't believe it. Once she gets home, she spends all night working on a new disguise, and the next day she heads for the shop wearing a brunette wig, a hoodie, and a fake mustache. "Hello, I'd like to buy one." "I already told you, no blondes allowed," The cashier rudely interrupts. Absolutely furious at this point, she tears off the wig, slams it on the ground, and yells, "How do you always know I'm a blonde?" To which he replies with a sigh, "Because, ma'am, that's not a damn TV, that's a microwave." A Marine returns from duty in Iraq and is immediately reassigned to a remote location in Afghanistan. That evening, he arrives at his new post, a rundown mosque in the middle of nowhere. As he switches over with the Marine currently stationed there, he realizes there is no bed, no clean water, no toilet, just him, his weapon, and the dirt on the floor. The next morning, he wakes up to find a queue of naked men leading into the mosque. At the front, the mosque leader is in prayer with the man leading the line. As the prayer finishes, he drops to his knees and swings his fist into the naked guy's balls, flooring him. The naked guy slowly comes to his senses and crawls out of the mosque. Confused, the Marine asks the mosque leader what's going on. "These men are thieves, rapists, and murderers from all over Afghanistan," he says. "Instead of prison, their punishment is to walk through the desert in nothing but their sandals, receive Allah's justice, then return home." The Marine returns to his post and continues to watch these unusual punishments. After 6 long months of no bed, no clean water, no toilet, and witnessing this unusual justice system, his replacement arrives. "Hey, my last post was in Korea. How is it here? And what's with this queue of naked guys in the middle of nowhere?" "Well, I'll be honest with you. This is a junk post, and what you're looking at here is a criminal punchline." A CNN reporter, a BBC reporter, and an Israeli commando are captured by ISIS in Iraq. The leader of the terrorists told them that he would grant them each one last request before they were beheaded. The CNN reporter said, "Well, I'm an American, so I'd like one last hamburger with French fries." The leader nodded to an underling who left and returned with the burger and fries. The reporter ate it and said, "Now I can die." The BBC reporter said, "I'm a reporter to the end. I want to take out my tape recorder and describe the scene here and what's about to happen. Maybe someday someone will hear it and know that I was on the job till the end." The ISIS leader directed an aide to hand over the tape recorder and dictated some comments. The reporter then said, "Now I can die knowing I stayed true until the end." The ISIS leader turned to the Israeli commando and said, "And now, Mr. Israeli tough guy, what is your final wish?" "Kick me in the butt," said the soldier. "What?" asked the leader. "Will you mock us in your last hour?" "No, I'm not kidding. I want you to kick me in the butt," insisted the Israeli. So the terrorist leader shoved him into the open and kicked him in the behind. The soldier went sprawling but rolled to his knees, pulled a 9mm pistol from under his flak jacket, and shot the leader dead. In the resulting confusion, he jumped to his knapsack, pulled out his carbine, and sprayed the terrorists with gunfire. In a flash, all terrorists were either dead or fleeing for their lives. As the soldier was untying the reporters, they asked him, "Why didn't you just shoot them in the beginning? Why did you ask them to kick you in the butt first?" "What?" replied the Israeli. "And have you report that I was the aggressor?" A Saudi prince wants to buy a bull, so he goes to see a famous Russian bovine breeder. The Russian tells him, "I have many good animals. Here is a Swedish bull, born black, but the color turns white when it grows. Over there is an American bull. Color when born is red, but becomes dark brown when full grown. And here, Turkish bull. They are born dark brown, but grow up to be a light brown color." The prince says, "I rather like the Turkish bulls. Fine specimens indeed." "Excellent choice, your majesty, but Turkish bull is special. They are bred for royalty, like you. But if you have royal blood, you must be bonding with bull calves when young, before they change color, or they will reject you," the Russian explains. "Well," the prince says, "I'm looking for a strong adult bull. I'm not particularly interested in buying a calf. I rather like this big beige bull over here." The prince attempts to pet the large Turkish bull.
It sniffs his hand, shakes its head in disgust, turns round, and kicks the prince with its hind legs. The prince goes flying across the room and lands in a pile of hay. "Where did you get such a horrible beast? Why did it kick me?" he sputters. "I told you, he from Turkey, Istanbul, can't stand the noble." Two statues, male and female, faced each other in the city park for many years. An angel appeared before the statues and said, "Since the two of you have been exemplary statues and have brought enjoyment to many people, I am giving you the gift of life. You have 30 minutes to do whatever you desire." The statues came to life and smiled at each other. They ran towards some nearby woods and dove behind a couple of bushes. The angel smiled to himself as he listened to the two statues giggling, bushes rustling, and twigs snapping. After 15 minutes, the two statues emerged from the bushes, satisfied and smiling. Puzzled, the angel looked at his watch and asked the statues, "You still have 15 minutes. Would you like to continue?" The male statue looked at the female and asked, "Do you want to do it again?" Giggling, the female statue said, "Sure, but this time you hold the pigeon down and I'll crap on its head." Guy giving a lecture on the paranormal. Guy says, "How many people believe in ghosts?" About 60 hands go up. How many have seen a ghost? About 15 hands go up. How many have spoken to a ghost? 3 hands go up. How many have had intimacy with a ghost? 1 hand goes up, Patty right at the back. Guy says to Patty, "I have been doing this for 40 years, and you are the first that has claimed to have had intimacy with a ghost. Come forward and explain." Patty says, "Sorry, I couldn't hear you from the back. I thought you said goats." A Hindu, a rabbi, and a Jehovah's Witness are lost. They wander across a farmstead and ask to spend the night. "I only have room for 2, so one of you will have to stay in the barn," says the farm owner. The Hindu immediately volunteers, insisting it's no problem. However, a few minutes later, he knocks on the front door. "I'm sorry, but there is a cow in the barn, and they are sacred to me." "No problem," says the rabbi, and he goes to the barn. Again, though, he returns and knocks. "There is also a pig in there, and that is against our teachings." "I will go then, friends," says the Jehovah's Witness, and he proceeds to the barn. A few moments later, there is a knock at the door. It's the cow and the pig. A man takes a visit to the doctor to see what he can do about getting an artificial eye. He says to the doctor, "Doc, I don't have much cash, but can you give me an eye that looks as real as it gets for cheap?" The doctor responds, "I have a wood eye here for you, and no one will be able to tell the difference." The man buys the eye and leaves the doctor's office. The man comes back a week later and says to the doctor, "Doc, I don't think this eye is helping me out. I'm just not having any luck with the ladies." The doctor then puts his hands on the man's shoulders and says, "It's not about the eye. It's about confidence. Go out there and just be confident about yourself." The man decides that going out to a club would be the best way to get chicks, so he goes and, as usual, is not confident enough within himself to pick up on any ladies. He then spots a woman with a bit of a humpback, and he thinks to himself, "She has a bit of a deformity like me, so she'll have to say yes." So he walks over to her and he asks, "Miss, would you like to dance with me?" And she responds with, "Oh, would I?" He quickly replies with, "Whatever, you humpback witch." 2 caterpillars are escaping a spider. They climb up a branch and get to the edge, but realize they are now trapped. "Hold on tight," says the first caterpillar, and he quickly chews through the branch. It snaps, and they begin to fall, but he grabs 2 protruding twigs and uses them to steer the branch through the air with grace and finesse. "That's amazing," says the second caterpillar. "How in the heck are you doing that?" The first caterpillar scoffs, Am I the only one in the whole damn forest who knows how to drive a stick? Two hillbillies walk into a restaurant. While having a bite to eat, they talk about their moonshine operation. Suddenly, a woman eating a sandwich at a nearby table begins to cough. After a minute or so, it becomes apparent that she is in real distress. One of the hillbillies looks at her and says, "Can you swallow?" The woman shakes her head no. Then he asks, "Can you breathe?" The woman begins to turn blue and shakes her head no. The hillbilly walks over to the woman, lifts up her dress, yanks down her drawers, and quickly gives her right butt cheek a lick with his tongue. The woman is so shocked that she has a violent spasm and the obstruction flies out of her mouth. As she begins to breathe again, the hillbilly walks slowly back to his table. His partner says, "You know, I'd heard of that there Heimlich maneuver, but I never saw anybody do it." John was a clerk in a small drugstore, but he was not much of a salesman. He could never find the item the customer wanted. Bob, the owner, had had about enough and warned John that the next sale he missed would be his last. Just then, a man came in coughing, and he asked John for their best cough syrup. Try as he might, John could not find the cough syrup. Remembering Bob's warning, he sold the man a box of X-Lax and told him to take it all at once. The customer did as John said, and then walked outside and leaned against a lamppost. Bob had seen the whole thing and came over to ask John what had transpired. "He wanted something for his cough, but I couldn't find the cough syrup. I substituted X-Lax and told him to take it all at once," John explained. "X-Lax won't cure a cough," Bob shouted angrily. "Sure it will," John said, pointing at the man leaning on the lamppost. "Look at him. He's afraid to cough." An Englishman, a Frenchman, a ravishing blonde, and a homely brunette are sharing a compartment on a train as it winds its way through the Alps. Every now and then, the train passes through a tunnel, during which time the compartment is plunged into complete darkness. On one such occasion, a ringing slap is heard, and as the train passes back into daylight, the Frenchman is rubbing his sore red cheek. The dirty Frenchman fondled the blonde, and she struck the pervert. The blonde thinks, "I bet that filthy Frenchman was looking to grope me in the dark, mistook the dowdy brunette for me, and she slapped the beast." The Frenchman thinks, "I bet that perfidious Englishman touched up the blonde in the dark, and she slapped me by mistake." The Englishman thinks, "I can't wait for another tunnel so I can slap that French twat again." A man is at the hospital, about to see his newborn daughter for the first time, and the doctor tells him, "Your baby is phenomenal, like nothing I've ever seen. I hope you're ready to be famous, because your baby can fly." Flabbergasted, the new father watches as the doctor picks up the baby and tosses her into the air. "Up you go," he cries, but the baby just falls to the ground with a thud. "Doctor," yells the father, "what the heck is wrong with you? That's my baby." The doctor picks up the baby, looking puzzled. "I'm telling you, sir, your daughter can fly. Watch." The doctor winds up and pitches the infant across the room. She hits the wall with a sickening thud. Horrified, the young father turns to grab the doctor, but before he can reach him, the doctor runs over, picks up the baby, and chucks her out an open window. "Fly, you glorious little idiot!" The baby promptly falls 10 stories and explodes on the pavement below. Enraged, the father runs to attack the doctor when the doctor turns to him and says, "Just kidding, that junk was stillborn." A man comes walking out of a brothel. Right as he walks out into the street, there's a little boy, smiling and pointing at the man, saying, "Ha, I know what you've done. Ooh, I know exactly what you've done." The man is red with embarrassment. "Would you keep it down, son?" he said, and gave the boy $10. "Take this and forget you ever saw me." The man then hurries away, and after walking for a little while, he gets home. When unlocking his front door, he looks behind him to see the same little boy from outside the brothel, who'd apparently followed him home. "Ha! Now I know where you live!" the boy shouted with a huge grin on his face. The man walks over, slips the boy another $10, and tells him sternly, "Take this and keep your mouth shut about all this. Now scram." Later that night, the boy's mother found the $20 in his pocket and demanded to know how he'd come by them. The boy eventually told her, and she was furious with him. "Tomorrow you're going to church first thing in the morning, you'll confess to what you've done, and then you're going to donate every single penny of your blackmail money," she told him. So the next morning the boy goes to church as instructed, where he enters the confessional. He makes the sign of the cross, getting ready to start his confession. He looks up through the window, his face lights up, and he says, "Ha! Now I know where you work!"
How do you fit an elephant in a refrigerator? Open the door, shove in the elephant, close the door. How do you fit a giraffe in a refrigerator? Open the door, take out the elephant, shove in the giraffe, close the door. A plane has 20 bricks on the right-hand side and 21 bricks on the left side. How do you balance its weight? Throw away a brick from the left side, you moron! It's the lion's wedding. The entire animal kingdom is invited. Which animal is not present at the wedding? The giraffe, because it's stuck in the refrigerator. How do you fit a rhino in a refrigerator? You can't. The giraffe has occupied its space. A young, healthy man is crossing a river, known to be home to ferocious crocodiles. Yet he manages to cross the river unscathed. How? The crocodiles are gone to the lion's wedding. The man dies as soon as he reaches the riverbank. Why? The brick fell on his head.